the day that I found out I was HIV positive, I got a call from my mother that afternoon stating that my dog, Mickey, although she had the dog herself, but that was a dog that I had when I was growing up, had to be put to sleep because he was in such pain and he was an old dog. Could I come over? And we took the dog to the vet hospital. And I remember my mother making a big scene as they were putting the dog to sleep. And here was my mother going through trauma at the vet on the day that I found out I was HIV positive. I couldn't tell her, I couldn't disclose to her what I just found out. And I kept extremely cool, almost disassociating myself with what was happening, trying to be objective, trying to be a support for my mother. And I remember when we held the dog on the stretcher and bid him goodbye. And my mother was just in tears. And somehow in my mind, I kept imagining what it would be like for my mother the day I die. I was 30 years old. I'm my mother's only child. That hurt. My mother has had a rough time because there's an element of shame. I'm from Haiti. And although AIDS is epidemic in Haiti, but we're not supposed to talk about it in the kind of social class that we come from in Haiti. But I'm, like I said, open. It's not something that I'm going to be made to feel ashamed of. It is a virus. It is a medical problem. People are not made to feel ashamed when they have cancer, when they have heart attack, etc., etc. No, I'm not going to be ashamed. This is a virus. Let's deal with it from that fact.
In dressés, mots sensés, mots qui disent la vérité, mots maudits, mots mentis, mots qui manquent le fruit d'esprit. It's a rap race with a fast pace. Concrete words, abstract words, crazy words and lying words, hazy words and dying words, words of faith and tell me straight, rare words and swear words, good words and bad words. Words can make you pay and pay. Four-letter words I cannot say. Words are trouble, words are subtle. Words of anger, words of hate. Words over here, in the air and everywhere. Words of wisdom, words of strife. Words that write the book I like. Words won't find the right solution to the planet Earth pollution. Say the right word, make a million. Words are like a certain person can't say what they mean, don't mean what they say. Wrap it up for the common good. Let us enlist the neighborhood. It's okay. I've overstood. This is a wordy wrapping hood. Okay,
life my way, living from day to day. No matter what you say, I'm gonna stay forever gay, forever gay. Earth in air, fire and water, spirit still up, states of desire. Everywhere, call the front runner, and just won't stop, never louder, till I get higher. I wanna hear you loud. Living life my way, living from day to day. No matter what you say, I'm gonna stay forever gay, forever gay. Life, liberty, happiness. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. Life, liberty, happiness. We hold these truths to be self-evident. But all men are not created equal. Living my life my way, living from day to day. No matter what you say, I'm gonna stay forever gay, forever gay. Living my life my way, living from day to day. No matter what you say, I'm gonna stay forever gay, forever gay, forever gay, forever gay,
Hello, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Graveyard Shift. Oh God, let me adjust this. All right, today we got a special Valentine's Day episode for you, and it's gonna be pretty sad. But I do have one fun thing to announce, which is that I brought my very own lover to talk about love on the show with me today, and to talk about the grave that we're gonna talk about. So, do you want to say hi?
Hey, how's it going?
That's Chris. So today we're talking about a Soto Saint. A Soto Saint is the person that you heard speaking at the beginning of the episode, talking about telling his mother about his AIDS diagnosis. And then you also heard one of his tracks that played later. That track, Forever Gay, was a song by a Soto Saint, but he was mainly a poet. And he was a performance artist as well, poet, performance artist, and he's buried with his lover. So we're doing a special lover's grave. His lover's name is Jan Holmgren, and they are buried together in the Evergreen. And we went and visited the grave. I brought Chris with me. Chris, do you want to tell us about what that grave looks like?
Yeah, it's really sick. It's one of the more handsome graves. I think one of the more handsome graves we saw in Evergreen while we were looking for it in the lot. There's like two hearts on it, creating this sort of Venn diagram, and the photo in the middle of it is missing, unfortunately. and there's a couple of different, like, there's like a time signature and a music note that are engraved into the tombstone, and it's a trio of people, actually. It's Soto's mom.
Oh yeah, Soto's mom's at the grave too, which I really like because it's like this lover's grave. It has the day that they met on it. They met on November 9th, 1980. And so that date, it says nuclear lovers met on this date. And then it has both their birth and death dates. But then I guess when Soto's mom died, they put her in that plot as well, which is, I thought was very cute. To also
really
have
cute.
your mom be like, hello, I'm here. Anyway, that's our focus. We brought them some flowers yesterday. And yeah, I'm going to read you. Soto is mainly a poet, so we're going to read a lot of his poetry today. And then with the music, we're going to do something a little bit different, where we're drawing from a few sources. The main one is that the MCA Denver has a collection of Keith Haring's mixtapes. Keith Haring, who also died of AIDS around this time, who was in community with the Soto Saint. And these mixtapes were made for him by his partner, Juan Dubus, who also died of AIDS. So we're using those mixtapes, their love, as a kind of soundtrack to talk about these other lovers. And we're going to also talk about a few other people. We're going to play some Arthur Russell because he also died of AIDS around this time. So we want to talk about the scene in New York in the late 80s, early 90s, and the people who were there then and who were actively, fighting for their rights and for their life. So the first song that you heard was Crash Goes Love, a Loliata Holloway track. That was from the Keith Haring mixtapes. And yeah, Chris, you know her more than me. Do you want to talk about her a little bit?
I mean, I'm not. Yeah, totally. I mean, she was this R&B disco singer that is like, just this very heavily sampled voice from a lot of her solo work, but also as someone who's like collaborated with a lot of amazing artists in just American and just Western pop music in general. Just a very hyper present, amazing kind of voice throughout a lot of popular music in the West. And then after that I played a song called Wordy Rapping Hood by the Tom Tom Club, and that was a song that was played out pretty consistently at parties like the Loft and Paradise Garage and the Gallery. And a lot of my selections today are kind of contextualized through those parties, like the Loft, the Gallery, the Paradise Garage, like I just said. And I'm just trying to provide kind of a portrait of some of the music and the songs that were being played while some of the people we're talking about today, like when they would congregate and when they would party together.
Okay, I'm going to start by reading you guys one of Soto's poems. Oh, I mean, I guess I should mention again. I mentioned it already.
Oh, you
Chris
did?
is
Oh.
pointing at Exotica's Forever Gay, but I did mention it.
You did. My bad.
Said that Soto Saint and Jan Holmgren were in this band. That's the song you heard that was called Forever Gay. That's the only track that we could find by them. So that's their one track, but it's really good. The lyrics are really amazing, and it's just such a nice, fun track, and his poems are all really sad. So we wanted to put that one in to be more celebratory, at least at the beginning, before we go into like some pretty dark shit. Okay. I'm going to read you first poem by Soto Saint, and then we will play you some music. So, all right, let me start it. This one's called Nuclear Lovers. And the 20th century is dead, and the 21st century is dead, and the 22nd century is dead, and the 23rd century is full of fairies. Karl Morse. Soon, as they sound the alarm, let us run to the river where we first met. Sat many a sunset there, with bare hands. We will dig a deep hole in the earth, lay together centuries later. When they excavate, they shall hear two hearts regenerate love into the universe.
Kind of heart that's only when you're blue. Kind of heart that's only several miles above. You up in the woods, Harry, says a friend, I'm measure. You up in the woods, Harry, says a friend, I'm measure.
Feel the
It's something that society wants you to think is dirty. It's something that you ought to be ashamed of. It's something that you got through sex. And sex is a dirty word in our so-called puritanical society. It's a virus, and we have to constantly remind ourselves it is not sexuality that is the problem. Go and have as much sex as possible. Go and have relationships. I do believe in one-night stands. I do believe in extended one-night stands. My lover and I always had an open relationship. But be safe. Use a condom. And there's so many facets to sex, to sexuality. It is not just fucking, and sucking. There's the whole element of jerking off, of talking dirty, of wrestling. Discover new facets, explore, and you'll be surprised at what you find. So I say go ahead, worship each other's bodies, love them.
Give your love to a cowboy man. He's gonna love
Hi, and we're back. You heard a few things. The first one, again, was DeSoto Saint's poem, Nuclear Lovers. That's the same poem that is mentioned on his epitaph on the grave. It says Nuclear Lovers as well. And then you heard Walter Gibbons' mix of Arthur Russell, See Through. Both of them died of AIDS. Walter Gibbons in 1992 and Arthur Russell in 1994. So I also put a lot of Arthur Russell in this episode, like I mentioned, because I really love him, and his work is so extensive and it spans so many different genres. And then you heard a song from the Keith Haring mixtapes. That was Grace Jones's Warm Leatherette. And finally, there was one song that Chris showed me that I really love, Life at the Outpost. Yeah, do you want to talk about that track a little bit? It's so good.
Yeah, so Scat Bros, kind of, I mean, I thought of it, especially since you're Canadian, but they're kind of considered like the Canadian village people. Sorry, I'm bad at mics sometimes.
He's just standing like off to the side of the mic.
My bad. But yeah, Scat Bros. I've known about that song for a really long time. It was introduced to me by the internet, Holler at the Internet. But it's like definitely also a song that was very much played at dance parties in the 80s and the 90s. The video is super hot. You should see it. It's a bunch of actors, like a bunch of like strong cowboy men that are dancing along and singing along to the track, and it's not actually the Scat Bros in it, but it's a bunch of like very sweaty, like glistening cowboys. It's really something.
I just really love it, but mostly because I love cowboys. And it became a really good song. I really biked to it like a lot. Just going over the bridge, I'm like, this is my jam. But today's show is a lot of it's really about love. I mean, it's about love at the beginning of AIDS, and it's about queer love. But also, like doing the research, I've realized that it's really just a show about death more than usual. I know I have a show about graveyards, so it's always about death. But this episode just kind of hit me pretty hard, just listening to all these people reckoning with death, and like just how love and death were intertwined, and also thinking about all these people that we lost to AIDS. Like Walter Gibbons, like Arthur Russell, like DeSoto Saint, like Jan Holmgren. I'm going to read to you now from a different poet's work, from Pamela Sneed's essay poem. It's called Funeral Diva. And she talks about going to the funerals of all of these people that she was friends with who died of AIDS during that time. And she also talks about this moment that DeSoto Saint is super famous for. It's like the moment that he's most famous for within ACT UP. She was at the funeral of poet Donald Woods with DeSoto. And it was his family's funeral. His family was very Christian. And they did not say anything about Donald Woods dying of AIDS. They didn't say anything about Donald Woods being gay. And she wrote this poem about that funeral. So I'm going to read it to you. And if you want to read the full book, it's available for free through the NYPL. So this is an excerpt from Funeral Diva. At the funeral, inside the church, loyalties again were divided between some of Donald's activist lesbian and gay family and his biological one. Like him, Donald's immediate family was devoutly Christian, at odds with the fact that he was gay, and purposely failed to mention in the program or eulogy one thing most important. Donald lived most of 33 years as an out gay man. Like Rory Buchanan, Craig Harris, Alan Williams, Don Reed, David Frechette, he died of AIDS. Like our elders Audre Lorde, Pat Parker, and James Baldwin, he was a pioneering figure in a black, lesbian, and gay literary movement. All of them died with dignity, fighting for rights of lesbian and gay people. They did not die in shame. This glaring omission ignited our fury and caused the late great activist DeSoto Saint, a brown-skinned man whose own recent AIDS diagnosis was a ticking time bomb, who stood more than 6'5" in stocking feet, a self-proclaimed diva with a French-Haitian accent used for effect, to rise from his pew, saunter down the church's long aisle like a Parisian model, Walking on a runway with determination, speed, and attitude, he stormed the pulpit uninvited, slammed his hands on the Bible as done when one wants to tell the truth. To everyone's shock, he screamed, Donald Woods was a proud black gay man. He did not die of heart failure. He died of AIDS. If you agree with me, stand up. As in the way I met Donald, without questioning, I leapt to my feet and felt for the first time in a ceremony of pomp and circumstance, free.
See, I want you to feel it too. So just listen to me, baby. Can't stop me now. Hear what I say. My feet want to move, so get out of my way. I'm gonna have my say. I'm going to every discotheque. I'm gonna dance, 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 ooh, till the break of day. I say, shame, 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 oh, shame on you if you can't dance too. I said, shame, 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 shame on you if you can't dance too.
Don't stop the motion
Stop moving.
if you get the notion. You can't stop the groove, 'cause you just won't move. Got my sunroof down,
Put it down.
got my diamond in the back.
Shine it, shine it.
Put on your shaky ring of moment if you thought I ain't coming back.
Shame, shame, shame.
Oh, shame on you, girl, if you can't dance too. I said shame, 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 shame on you if you can't dance too.
If you don't want to go, remember one monkey don't stop no show. My body needs action. Ain't gonna blow. Yes, I'm going now and find a dancing man. If you really think you're fast, try to catch me if you can. I say, shame, shame, shame.
Oh, shame on you, girl, if you can't dance too. I said shame, 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 shame on you if you can't dance too.
Do it, baby. Oh, it's getting to me. I know you can dance, baby. Ooh, get it, baby. Ah, yeah. Oh,
Shame, shame, shame. Oh, shame on you if you can't dance too. I said shame, 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 shame on you if you can't dance too. Don't stop the motion if you get the notion. You can't stop the groove, 'cause you just won't move. Got my sunroof down, got my diamond in the back. Put on your shaky wiggle moment if you know that I ain't coming back. Shame, 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 oh, shame on you if you can't dance too. Shame, 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 shame on you
present, and the future comes fast. Break in, break out, break in, break out. They wear a mask with ease. These men with visions of dark mysteries. Men in armbands marched in a line. They like the chaos that's hypnotic time. They're in their own.
Now I'm in love with you for the last time. It's the last time I'll sit on this bench with you. And from what you say, I guess it's past time, and I'll never see you again. I don't understand why you got tears in your eyes. It's not what you wanted to show me. It's hard what you said, and I don't see why you act like you never did know me. Now I'm in love with you for the last time. It's the last time I'll sit on this bench with you. And from what you say, I guess it's past time, and I'll never see you again. Well, that's all I can say. Now I walk away. I'll keep going till I'm so far on, and I'll never come back to this place, not today, and find out that you really are gone. Now I'm in love with you for the last time. It's the last time I'll sit on this bench with you. And from what you say, I guess it's past time, and I'll never see you again. Now when I start to think, that's when I start to sink. I'll just keep moving without you. I never will talk, and I never will blink, and I'll never hear nothing about you. Now you've rejected me for the last time. It's the last time I'll sit on this fence for you. And from what you say, I guess it's past time, and I'll never see you again.
Hey everyone, welcome back. You heard a few things. First, you heard that Pamela Sneed poem, again about a Soto saint and that moment where he stood up at Donald Woods' funeral. This is a moment that AIDS historian Sarah Schulman mentions in two of her books about AIDS that are both amazing. First one is called Gentrification of the Mind, and the other one is called Let the Record Show, a political history of ACT UP. And yeah, then you heard one track from the Keith Haring mixtapes, Shame, Shame, Shame. That one's from Keith Haring. And then an Arthur Russell track at the end there, that piano one. That one's called In Love With You for the Last Time. And yeah, Chris picked two tracks in there too. What were those?
Yeah, sandwiched between those two tracks was Coil's Gay Men's Guide to Sex, as well as Richard Bone's Men with Secrets. Both of those tracks were made as soundtrack, or that's not true actually. The Coil song was made as a soundtrack for a gay pornography video, and Richard Bone has made music for one of the first gay porns showing protection being used and sort of implicating that sex can still be really hot with protection, with condoms. So yeah, both of those songs are kind of in the gay porn soundtrack kind of lexicon. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess now I'll also talk about. I was listening to a cassette tape of Donald Woods' funeral, and Donald Woods, the poet that we talked about earlier, and I heard someone speak, and I realized that it's someone that I know, and I really wasn't expecting it because I was doing this research in a really historical capacity, so I was thinking about these events as like things that happened discreetly in history and not things that really were a part of my life, and so it was really jarring and really shook me to see someone that I know speak up at this funeral, which was in 1992. And it really made me think about how if all these people who died were alive today, they would just be in community with us. Like some of them would be super famous and we would never see them, but some of them would just be other people with us in New York, like, yeah, coming to the bike shop, at the coffee shop. And I just started going around like thinking about these ghosts of people who would be part of our community as artists and as art makers, and who would be like a generation of older people that are queer older people that we just don't have with us. And yeah, Chris, you have a painter that you really like who died of AIDS.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's kind of related, right? Of somebody you'd be in community with.
Definitely, yeah. I studied painting in school, and I always, when I moved to New York, actually, like, I always really admired this person's work. His name's Martin Wong. I always felt connected to him because he was someone who grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, in Chinatown, actually, where my mom grew up as well. And most of his paintings, are the paintings he's really well known for, depict his neighborhood in East Village and Lower East Side, just Lower Manhattan, and he would paint, crumbling brick facades of the pre-gentrified kind of Lower East Side, and his friends, and graffiti that he wanted to commemorate, and kissing firefighters, and prison scenes, sign language. He also painted a lot of 8-balls. He really liked 8-balls.
Yeah, he did. That's true.
Shout out to 8-ball. And he's just someone whose work I've really looked up to, and it's true. He would definitely still be with us, I think, if it wasn't for having contracted AIDS.
I was thinking about how when you studied in art school, he could have done like a studio visit with you or something like that,
Definitely, yeah. And then, I think something musically, I think that we found that we were both got really intrigued by is his lover, actually, was someone named Miguel Pinheiro, who was one of the co-founders of the Nuyorican Poets Cafe in the Lower East Side. And he also wrote a play called Short Eyes. And Short Eyes was a play about essentially it was a prison scene depicting.
Right, because he spent time in the tombs.
He spent time in the tombs as well as Sing Sing.
Right.
Short Eyes depicted the tombs actually in Manhattan. And it got adapted into a film actually, and Curtis Mayfield is in it, as well as Freddie Fender, the Tejano singer. And there's just, Curtis Mayfield, in fact, recorded the entire soundtrack for the film, and it's really, really awesome.
I feel like what you're going to show us, like this Curtis Mayfield track and the Freddie Fender tracks that you're going to play, are kind of like the best way that we could musically describe Martin Wong's paintings.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I mean, a lot of Martin's attraction to Miguel was definitely based on kind of, like his own work around prisons and a kind of this like Lower East Side bad boy sort of. And I think Martin, just based on his work, was really into that just thematically, but also just extremely attracted to it. And so, it's really excited to show you these songs.
Yeah, it's definitely a little side note, but we hope you like them. Yeah, we should have queued this up, but we didn't. Okay, we're good now.
Johnny D, you gotta sing for me, bro. You gotta sing. Sing one, Johnny. Okay. Give me a slow beat. Give me a slow beat. All right. Sing it, Johnny. Ooh, break it down. Break it down. Ooh, break it down. Wasting away. I'm getting old. Don't make no way. Do what I'm told. 'Cause there's too much fear. And it turns to kind and cruel. So don't waste your tears. I'm not the only fool. And the man on the gate has a hand in my face.
You're my face now.
I belong to the state. Break it down. Ooh, break it down. But my mind's still free, and I can't give that up for no one. Through this uncertainty, I'm going insane, but it isn't showing. So any day, when the pain cuts through, I play the lonely game and wonder when the A train's due. You can see through the bars, but you can't hide the scars. Living life from a jar. Break it down. Ooh, break it down. Hey, Mr. Brown, turn up the music. Hey, Pappy, how about a little doo-wop, man? You can do better than cat on the radio, man.
Well, to keep from dying, hey, I've been lying. Shot a man, hey, and I stole a ring. Well, where we tried to live, oh, and I lost my freedom. My woman know that I'm in need, so save some of mine for me. If you got to give it up, don't deserve me, 'cause leaving me, you know it would hurt me. Snake pits and Lucifer's burn, can't take the strength I've earned and learned. Grease, just ain't greasy, and nasty baby comes so easy. Ain't no heaven, this devil ever. All alone. I get stoned. Saw him out, oh, in the shower. Hey, now I claim to be a bad titty sucker, and I plan to stay a black
strong in here? Do you walk strong in here? Waking up to find yourself grooving. Check your fears and hope that you dream. A little space is all that I need. These suckers just allow me to breathe. Slave puts and Lucifer's brains. Can't take the strength I've earned and learned. Stepped in depth of the same living hell. Ain't too proud to die here as well. Do you walk strong in here? Do you walk strong? Do you walk? Hey, hey, do you walk strong in here? Hey, hey, do you walk? Hey, hey, do you walk? Hey, hey, do you walk strong in here? Do you walk strong? Do you walk? Hey, hey, do you walk strong in here? Do you walk strong? Do you walk? Hey, hey, do you walk strong in here? Do you walk strong? Do you walk? Do you walk? Do you walk?
Novelist and AIDS activist Sarah Schulman recalls the beginning of her involvement in the AIDS movement.
When I came out in the 70s, I came out to a women's movement of lesbians and straight women. And that was a really disappointing experience for a lot of the lesbians because the heterosexual women could never overcome their homophobia, and they really didn't want to. You know, then the AIDS crisis happened, and we saw that these gay men were dying and nobody cared, and the reason that they didn't care was because they were gay, and we were gay. And I think that was the initial impetus of getting involved in the AIDS movement. But once we got there, we had discovered that there was this new generation of gay men who in some ways had accepted a lot of ideas about feminism and really wanted to have a movement that wasn't sexist. And this was really surprising to all of us, I think. And I think I'm still suspicious in a lot of ways, but it's just been such a positive experience, working with the men and being taken seriously and being respected and not having to face any of the homophobia that we had to face, working in the abortion movement or wherever we were before. And that, I think, has transformed all of us. It's created a kind of intimacy and a sort of co-ed community that the gay movement always should have been. And now we're seeing the potential for that, and it's really encouraging.
Okay, welcome back. The tracks that you just heard, the Curtis Mayfield and Freddie Fender tracks again, were from the film Short Eyes, which is based on a play by Miguel Pinheiro. And he was the lover of Martin Wong. Martin Wong died of AIDS in 1999, and Miguel Pinheiro died in 1989, so 10 years before. Official cause of death is liver cirrhosis, but historians believe that he also died of AIDS. I mean, there's nowhere to confirm, but his ashes are scattered in the Lower East Side, so you can think about him when you're there. And then, yeah, we heard that excellent Sarah Schulman piece that Chris picked out from Silence Equals Death. Yeah, I think we really just went into that little detour about Martin Wong and Miguel Pinheiro to talk about this group of artists who were all really interconnected and who all died, like we were saying. And then Sarah Schulman in her books talks about how that really just destroyed the Lower East Side because so many apartments were taken from recently dead people who couldn't pass down their apartments to their lovers or to their friends, so to their chosen families. And the people who took up these apartments had no interest in the epidemic unfolding around them. They were like totally cued out of it. And yeah, I'll read you a Sarah Schulman quote that I pulled from Gentrification of the Mind about that process. She says, "Gentrification culture is rooted in the ideology that people needing help is a private matter, that it's nobody's business. taking their homes is called cleaning up the neighborhood. And I mean, she was super involved in ACT UP, so it makes sense that ACT UP took the exact opposite stance, this anti-gentrification stance of the people who are suffering are my problem, this problem is my problem, and it kind of, we are all in this together mentality that I think is the opposite to gentrification in some ways. So this idea that ICE coming for our neighbors, which is happening right now, is our problem, that the people have no homes to live in New York is our problem, that the fucking police violence is also our problem, like all these things. We live in a city together, and so they're all things that affect all of us, and it's nothing is private, I guess, is the anti-gentrification mindset. So I'm going to play another Asoto clip for you now that I think is really related. It's about people who had AIDS in the early 90s, late 80s, and who did not disclose.
We have the example of many leaders in our gay and lesbian community dying of HIV illness without the community ever knowing that they were ill. They deny by keeping silent about their illness, the community a chance to reach out to them. But the strange phenomenon is that they are usually outed in their obituaries as if they died gloriously of this disease. Nobody dies gloriously of this disease, but you know what I mean. When you pick up an obituary and you say such and such writer, such and such designer died of AIDS, and you say, but wait a minute, this person never came out. This person never disclosed his seropositivity. This person could have done lots of good. And we have the examples of the famous choreographer, the famous designer, the famous writers, and so on and so on, the famous singer, sometimes coming out on their deathbeds. Shame. I say shame.
again. And wouldn't you think that I'd get enough love? But here I am, standing at your door again, asking you for more love. Baby, and I memorized the path that leads to you. With blinded eyes, I'd find a way to get through, and you know that it's true.
Tighten up on your backstroke. Looking for the good stuff. Tighten up on your backstroke. Looking for the good stuff. Tighten up on your backstroke. Looking for the good stuff. Tighten up on your backstroke.
This time it's sweet. This time it's just for loving you. Let's not waste another moment. 'Cause there's so much I wanna do with you.
Stroke it easy, stroke it long, feel your body all night long. Stroke it easy, stroke it long, feel your body.
Tighten up on your backstroke. Tighten up on your backstroke.
Hey. 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 Transporting chicks insane. You're lost, my game. 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 Hey. I won't stop rocking. I won't stop rocking. Hey. I won't stop rocking the beat. Come on. Hey. I won't stop rocking. I won't stop rocking. Hey. I won't stop rocking the beat. Come on. Hey. I'm a strong vibration. Here to move this nation. Hey. I'm a strong vibration. Here to move this nation. Hey. I'm a strong vibration. Here to move this nation. Hey. I'm a strong vibration. Here to move this nation. Hey. I won't stop rocking. I won't stop rocking. Hey. I won't stop rocking the beat. Come on. Hey. I won't stop rocking. I won't stop rocking. Hey. I won't stop rocking the beat. Come on. Hey. 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 Transporting chicks insane. You're lost, my game. 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 Hey. I won't stop rocking. I won't stop rocking. Hey. I won't stop rocking the beat. Come on. Hey.
When I found out, I had expected it. I had taken care of and buried most of my close friends by then. And there was nothing they were doing that I was not doing back in the 70s, early 80s. So I had somewhat expected it. And when the counselor told me, I remember I just smiled. And I thought to myself, bitch, did you think you would escape?
Hi, welcome back. You just heard a few songs, most of them from the Keith Haring mixtape. So Thelma Houston doing I'm Here Again, Fatback Band, Backstrokin', and Lee Merrill's Pain. and then 2 clips from A Soda Saint. Again, all those clips are from the movie No Regrets, directed by Marlon Riggs in 1992. So I'm going to give you a little quick bio of A Soda Saint now before I go into his next poem, just to kind of situate us on what his life was like. He was born in Les Cayes, Haiti in 1957, and his birth name was Yves François Lubin. But he moved to New York in the 1970s, and he went to high school in Jamaica, Queens, and that's where he took up a new name, A Soda Saint. A Soda was the name of a Haitian drum, and Saint was in honor of the Haitian revolutionary leader Toussaint Louverture. So yeah, No Regrets, the movie, it's kind of difficult to find, but the Criterion Collection has it if you want to watch it. It's an interview with 5 HIV-positive Black gay men about their lives and their experiences. And Donald Woods, who I talked about earlier, whose funeral we talked about, is also in that film. And Donald Woods is also buried in the Evergreen Cemetery. And I just like to think about those 2 friends buried in the same cemetery, like kind of keeping each other company a little bit. And the next poem I'm going to read is a pretty sad one. It's a one A Soda wrote about Jan's death. So it felt really important to read it to you. And it's called A Lover's Diary. A Lover's Diary, Monday, March 29th, 1993. 1. Vigil on 2 chairs. I whisper, "Hey, good morning." He doesn't respond. I watched his labored breaths. The head nurse suctions him up. 2. He's turned for the worse, Dr. McMeeking mumbles. Weeks, days, just can't tell. Hours, insists my mother. Furious, I escort her out. The Oscars come on. The crying game stars don't win. Hoping he can hear, I remind him he's my light. Death rattles, my scream for help. 4. The nurse rushes in. Mother returns with prayers. I cradle him close, pleading, stay. One more day, stay. 11:20, he's gone. 5. Bathe him with my tears. Parched lips thirst for a wet kiss. I stick my tongue deep. Bitter taste of blood, phlegm. Moans, spat out. I shut his eyes.
A young man sits on the bridge after nightfall and looks across the Hudson River to New Jersey. He wonders about life, and he wonders if he'll ever get old. He sees the lights. He wonders if they are talking to each other, and he wonders if they are talking to him, and he asks if they are.
My mind settles down on those lights from New Jersey. Why I chose New Jersey to look at, I don't know. Well, one thing is sure, I'm here to see those lights. It doesn't matter, don't matter, no, where I come from or where I go. Well, what does it mean? Those lights, I can't resist the thought that they are twinkling to each other. Are they? Are they?
His leisure hours are spent in a way that mystifies his younger years. Thinking hard, he has no say what's in his eyes and meets his ears.
Well, one thing is sure, I'm here to see those lights. It doesn't matter, don't matter, no, where I come from or where I go. Well, what does it mean? Those lights, I can't resist the thought that they are twinkling to each other. Are they? Are they? Lights are shining brighter now, but it's not home for me. Different lights across the river, lights of industry. They are so beautiful.
Very, very, very beautiful.
Please, Mr. Mystery, if I'm sitting oh so still, all alone, it's only me. All those lights have lost their meaning. Please, oh Mr. Mystery.
Suddenly, the ice that was floating down the Hudson stops. The flow has stopped. And so, dejected, he wanders back into the city, back to the bars, back to where he first found happiness. But he didn't notice on the brick warehouse wall the hulking, lurking shadow of a human form. Mr. Mystery.
If I had $1 to spend for healthcare, I'd rather spend it on some baby or innocent person with some defect or illness not of their own responsibility, not some person with AIDS, says the healthcare official on national television. And this is in the middle of an hour-long video, people dying on camera because they can't even afford the limited drugs available that might extend their lives. And I can't even remember what this official looked like because I reached in through the TV screen and ripped his face in half. And I was diagnosed with ARC recently, and this was after the last few years of losing count of the friends and neighbors who've been dying slow, vicious, unnecessary deaths because fags and dykes and junkies are expendable in this country. If you want to stop AIDS, shoot the queer, says the governor of Texas on the radio, and his press secretary later claims that the governor was only joking and didn't know the microphone was turned on, and besides, they didn't think it would hurt his chances for re-election anyways. And I wake up every morning in this killing machine called America, and I'm carrying this rage like a blood-filled egg, and there's a thin line between the inside and the outside, a thin line between thought and action, and that line's simply made up of blood and muscle and bone, and I'm waking up more and more from daydreams of tipping Amazonian blow darts and infected blood and spitting them out the exposed necklines of certain politicians or government health care officials, or those thinly disguised walking swastikas that wear religious garments over their murderous intentions, or those rabid strangers parading against AIDS clinics in the nightly news suburbs. There's a thin line, a very thin line, between the inside and the outside, and I've been looking all my life at the signs surrounding us in the media or on people's lips. The religious types outside St. Patrick's Cathedral shouting the men and women in a gay parade, "You won't be here next year, you'll get AIDS and die, ha ha." There's a thin line, a very thin line. As each T-cell disappears from my body, it's replaced by 10 pounds of pressure, 10 pounds of rage, 10 pounds of pressure, and I focus that rage into nonviolent resistance, but the focus is starting to slip. My hands are beginning to move independent of self-restraint, and the egg is starting to crack. America seems to understand and accept murder as a self-defense against those who would murder other people, and it's been murder. It's been murder on a daily basis for 8 long years, and we're expected to pay taxes to support this public and social murder, and we're expected to quietly and politely make house in this windstorm of murder. And I say there's certain politicians that better increase their security forces, and there's religious leaders and healthcare officials that better get bigger dogs and higher fences and more complex security alarms to their homes. And queer bashers better start doing the work from inside howitzer tanks, because at the moment, the thin line between the inside and the outside is beginning to erode. And at the moment, I'm a 37-foot tall, 1,172-pound man inside a 6-foot frame, and all I can feel is the pressure. All I can feel is the pressure and the need for release.
I saw you last night. Many occupants are never found. In the basement. Many canoes overturned. Of the brass rail. Your dark diva's face. A lake. Lushing and laughing. I hear the sea. Your voice. Screaming. Falling from the air. Behind your eyes. Dancing with the boys on the edge of funk. Twilight. The boys dance, darling. My tongue touching you. Walks indiscreetly along your thighs like a hermit. Your body a green light. I have been naked with you, urging them. Dear diva, darling. You were in the mirrors. The light. Their arms. The boys whispered about you. Singapore slings toasted you. Under the music pumping from the jukebox. They were promises chilled by ice cubes. They were promises chilled by ice cubes. The boys whispered about you. Gin fizzes. Under the music and Singapore slings toasted you. You were in the mirrors. The light. Their arms. Your body a green light. Diva, the boys dance, I darling. Have been naked with you. Touching you indiscreetly. Has walked along dancing your thighs. On the edge of funk. I have found the scent. Your voice twilight. Falling I hear from the air. Screaming behind your eyes. And laughing. Your dark diva I saw face. You last night lake, in the basement many canoes of the brass rail. Many occupants are never found.
Okay, we're back again. That was mostly poems, though that first one was a song, the Flying Hearts, which was a band that Arthur Russell was a part of, and Allen Ginsberg was a guest on that track. It's called Ballad of the Lights. And then after that, we heard the David Monorovich track. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? That was him in Silence Equals Death, which you pulled that, right?
Yeah. So, we've been talking about Silence Equals Death for a while. I don't know if we've mentioned who made it. This German filmmaker named Rosa von Praunheim. He was he just was one of the first filmmakers to, just document the AIDS crisis, not only in America, but also in Germany. But he did have a lot of New York footage and had a lot of access to artists and just people with AIDS in New York City, and that was an especially poignant and angry poem by artist David Wojnarowicz.
I really like it. I love how he talks about this line between the inside and the outside not existing. I feel like that relates so much to what we were talking about with gentrification and this idea that your problems aren't just your problems. They're everyone's fucking problems. And that line about sending infected darts into the necks of politicians is just so sick. That's amazing. And then, and the last one was Essex Hemphill and Wason Jones doing Brass Rail. So Essex Hemphill was a mentee of a Soto Saint. And he also died of AIDS in 1995. But you can kind of hear the resemblance between the way Essex talks or at least recites the poem, and the way that a Soto talks. Is kind of really nice musical cadence to it. Thanks everyone for listening to our show. I hope you liked it. I hope that it touched you a little bit. I know that we've been thinking about it a lot, and yeah, I mean, AIDS isn't over. AIDS is still a really big part of the world that we live in. It's very urgent. The end of the international aid, of the U.S. international aid, has had really devastating ripple effects on the AIDS crisis. So much of the life-saving medication that people had access to was because of U.S. foreign aid. And now everyone's scrambling to figure out how to keep people alive. And also the CDC just took down a bunch of information and statistics about AIDS. So it's just a really dark time, and it was really helpful to revisit ACT UP and to think about direct action and to think about mutual aid and how they used those things to actually be an incredibly successful movement, like the last truly very, very successful one that I feel like we've had here in America. And it was also really nice that how much they knew that death was present in their movement and how much they thought about death and how death was kind of a friend to ACT UP, or at least a bedfellow. You know, they acknowledged death so much and they acknowledged pain, but they also were so much about love and care. And I feel like, we didn't talk about that, but in the Sarah Schulman quote, she talks so much about this like beautiful friendship and just like platonic friendship and platonic love being such a big part of ACT UP. And yeah, I really love that. And I think that's also something that we can learn now, is that just these really strong bonds of like platonic love and friendship and care are really important to a successful movement.
Yeah, everyone should read Gentrification of the Mind.
Oh yeah, we both read Gentrification of the Mind for this podcast.
And Hair History of ACT UP.
This podcast.
Yeah.
My podcast.
Not a podcast.
Yeah, and then I also read Let the Record Show. Yeah, so I'm going to read you a final poem of Asoto Saints, and you're going to hear some final recordings from him, and then we're going to end with a little surprise. Thanks so much for listening. Shout out to Addison and Robin and Aisha, who all texted me about it, and shout out to Chris's parents, who are also listening, I think.
My dad. Yeah.
Your dad is listening. Hi, Chris's dad, Colin.
My dad told me not to laugh into the mic. Thanks, Dad.
Well, you shouldn't. That's good advice. All right. I'm okay. I'm going to read you this poem, and then, you'll hear some more music, and then we're going to play you out. This one is called The Language of Dust, and he wrote it right after burying his lover, Jan Holmgren, in the Evergreen in their shared plot with their shared gravestone. The Language of Dust. From grave to grave, I carry my loyalty to you, Essex Hemphill. Where do you find the strength to climb down the hill to your lover's grave? What do you bring but 13 years of memories? How do you deal with his death when your gasps loom in the autumn air like circling crows? Spasms rock your body like squirrels, shake the scarlet oak and purple dogwood. Branches, while through the buzz of a helicopter, the roar of an elevated train, the firecracker thunder of a Buddhist service, one can still hear your sobs. Over and over, utter his name, Jan, my Jan. Even blindfolded, I would find my way to you around this evergreen cemetery. I gaze at the engraved picture. I outline the entwined hearts. I smooth out the ACT UP triangle. The musical notes float high on each side of your Viking name, along with dates of birth and recent death and poetry books, flap bold on each side of my voodoo pseudonym, birth name and date, open-ended. I smile at the nuclear lover's epitaph. I sit on the grass grateful. I will rest not soon enough right here above you in the shadow of the Trade Center towering in the distance. Years ago, after we found out our status, I begged you to be buried with me because I don't believe in the foolishness of spiritual afterlife. The soul survives, you insisted. Prove it, I demanded. Man is the only creature known to bury its dead, you persisted. Should we act like dogs and swine? I contended. Manhattan, Queens. Why should we be buried, of all places, in Brooklyn? You retorted. As usual, my patience thinned fast. Hysterical, I screamed. If you died before me, I could not carry out your wish to be cremated. Sorry, I lost my page. At first, you laughed that you would outlast me. Then, guessing the improbability, you lashed back that I always need to have things my way, threatening to replace me as your executor. Hurt, I held you hard as you tried to break away from my embrace, while across my heart I swore to do right by you. There was this masochist ex-priest who, after his lover's cremation, adding a dash of ash to the dough, every Sunday baked a batch of peanut butter cookies, and he listened to Mass on the radio. With no more communion to down his morning pick-me-ups, to sweeten afternoon naps, to soothe nightmares, he dressed in a harness, knelt in the bathtub, slashed his wrists, letting his blood drop into the urn, while on the CD, Callas repeatedly sobbed, "Visi d'arte, visi d'amore." Drama queen, he reminded me of something I would do. Like that midday in summer, I freaked, pulled out my dick, jerked off quick on the geraniums over the grave. I also remember, during my second hospitalization, we watched this television report on greedy companies that cremated corpses together and handed families the wrong remains. Open mouth shaken, you paced the room we shared in co-op cared, lay down with PCP. My throat got tight. Then last year, in the candlelight glow of a Swedish meatballs, Haitian rice and beans anniversary dinner, capped with Entenmann's eclairs, you affirmed to be buried with me would honor our relationship. That night, we curled into each other, aware one of us would leave roses, tears and kisses on our tombstone the next November 9th.
Sexual revolution, and I have no regrets. I did it all. The baths, the bars, trucks. in Europe, in Africa, in United States, in Canada. I did it all and I regret nothing.